The sky didn't break the day we lost the aircraft. It broke when it chose who to kill. I remember the exact second it happened. Because everything in Sector 9 runs on precision, timestamps, coordinates, controlled variables, and then 3 signals vanished at once. Not flickered, not distorted. Gone. Daniel, Cade said quietly from behind me, tell me that's a delay. I didn't answer. Because delays don't align perfectly across 3 separate aircraft in 3 separate lanes at 3 separate altitudes. Unless they're told to. The control room was too quiet. The kind of quiet that feels unnatural. Like the building itself is holding its breath. Glass walls. Dim lighting. Rows of suspended displays hovering in midair, each projecting live corridor data. Thin glowing lines layered across a dark sky map, shifting subtly like something alive. Because the system was alive, or close enough. We called it the Corridor Network, an automated, adaptive routing system designed to eliminate human error. It predicted turbulence, recalibrated routes, and optimized traffic flow down to the second. It made the sky safer. That's what we told people. I leaned closer to the central display, zooming in on the last known positions. Flight K-12, Rescue Transport 7A, Independent Courier, Unregistered Tag. All 3 were mid-corridor. All 3 received a route update. All 3 disappeared within 60 seconds. Cade stepped closer. Storm interference? No storm activity within a 50-kilometer radius. System glitch? My fingers moved before I answered, pulling raw data streams, bypassing the simplified overlays. I didn't trust clean visuals. I trusted numbers. Numbers don't lie. Not a glitch, I said. Then what? I straightened slowly. Synchronization. He frowned. That's worse, right? Yes, because synchronization means intention. I expanded the timeline, aligning the data points side by side. There it was. A pattern so clean, it made my stomach tighten. 3 route updates, issued within 0.4 seconds of each other, from the same access layer. Cade exhaled sharply. That's not possible. It is, I said, my voice flat. If it wasn't a mistake. Silence pressed in again. Behind us, the rest of the team started moving. Quietly, urgently, like everyone understood something had shifted, even if they didn't have the words for it yet. Run recovery protocols, I ordered. Deploy search drones along last known vectors. I want manual verification on all corridor updates in this sector. You think the system... I cut him off, that we don't assume anything until we have data. That was the rule. Control the variables. Eliminate noise. Find the truth. It had always worked. Until now. I didn't notice my hands were cold until I tried to zoom further, and my fingers hesitated for half a second too long. I don't hesitate. That's the point. I'm a beta, not an alpha barking orders, not an omega reacting to instinct. I don't rely on dominance or impulse. I rely on control, and control means distance. I don't fly. I don't pull people out of burning wreckage. I make sure someone else can. Coordinator, that's the title. I build the path. Others survive because of it. Or they don't. I pushed the thought away and pulled up historical data. If this wasn't an isolated incident, it would leave a trail. Everything does. Daniel, Cade said again, softer this time. You're doing that thing. What thing? The one where you go quiet and everyone gets nervous. That's because they assume I've found something. Have you? I didn't answer. Because the first had. 2 years ago, I flagged a pilot for route violations. Repeated deviations. Unauthorized altitude shifts. Corridor bypasses that shouldn't have been survivable. Name, Leon Varel. Status, independent. Affiliation, none. Risk rating, high. I remember the first time I opened his flight log. I expected chaos. What I found was something worse. Precision, not the kind the system produces. Calculated, optimized, safe. His was instinct sharpened into something dangerous. He wasn't ignoring the corridors. He was outthinking them. Why is this even allowed? I muttered, scrolling through his pathing, Cade leaned over my shoulder. That's the Omega everyone talks about. I don't care what people talk about. He's bypassing regulated routes. Yeah, Cade said, almost amused. And he's still alive. That didn't impress me. It irritated me. So I called him in. The first time I saw Leon, he was sitting in his cockpit like the world owed him nothing. And he'd decided to take that personally. Boots up on the console. Harness half secured. One hand lazily tapping a sequence into the nav panel that I recognized immediately. He was overriding it. Feet off the console, I said. He didn't look at me. Didn't know you were my supervisor. I'm the one who decides whether you get clearance next time. That got his attention. Slowly, he turned his head and smiled. Not friendly, not polite. You're Daniel, he said, like he'd already decided something about me. Yes. He studied me for a second, eyes flicking over details most people miss. Beta, he added. I didn't react. And you don't like variables you can't control. I don't like unnecessary risk. He leaned back further, somehow making the confined cockpit feel like a throne. Same thing, he said. No, I replied. Risk can be calculated. What you're doing isn't. He tilted his head. You've been watching my routes. I've been correcting your mistakes. That earned a soft laugh. Funny, he said. Because I don't remember needing correction. You've been deviating from approved corridors. They're slow. They're safe. There was a pause. Then he dropped his boots to the floor and leaned forward slightly. Not aggressive. Not submissive. Present. Safety, Leon said, voice quieter now, is just fear with better PR, Daniel. I held his gaze. You're going to get yourself killed. He didn't flinch. No, he said. I'm just not going to die the way someone else planned. That should have been the end of it. A flagged pilot. A warning issued. Case closed. But it wasn't. Because from that moment on, I started watching his flights more closely than I needed to. Not because I trusted him, because the first didn't. Daniel, Cade's voice pulled me back. The present rushed in. Screens, data, the low hum of systems recalculating. I ran the last 6 months, he said, handing me a compiled report. You need to see this. I took it. My eyes scanned the list once, then again, then slower. Each incident, each disappearance, each corrupted route, a pattern. Not random, not environmental, targeted. My chest tightened, not sharp, not dramatic. Just precise, like something clicking into place. Say it, Cade whispered. I didn't look at him. Cross-reference pilot affiliations. He hesitated, then did it. The screen updated. Tags shifted. Color codes changed. And suddenly, the pattern wasn't just visible. It was undeniable. Independent. Unaffiliated. Unregistered. Every single one. Cade swore under his breath. That's not an accident? I finished quietly. No, it wasn't. It was selection. The system wasn't failing. It was choosing. I scrolled further down. Names, flight IDs, status, missing. My eyes moved automatically. Cataloging, processing, and then stopped. For the first time that day, my breath caught. Just for a second, one name, highlighted, flagged, scheduled for the next cycle. Leon Virel. Cade saw it too. Daniel. I didn't answer, because the sky hadn't just broken, it had made a decision, and Leon was next. The wind on Platform 3 always sounded like something alive. Not loud, just constant. A low, pressing hum that crawled under your skin and settled somewhere between your ribs, like it was waiting. I stepped out into it anyway. Engines roared overhead. Fuel burned sharp in the air. The sky above Sector -9 was already shifting. Dark clouds rolling in from the west, thick and heavy, like the atmosphere itself had decided to close ranks. Storm corridor? Of course it was. Leon's ship sat near the edge of the platform, angled like it had no intention of staying long. Sleek frame, scratched paint, custom stabilizers that definitely weren't standard issue. Nothing about him ever was. I didn't slow down as I approached. Pre-flight clearance hasn't been approved, I said before I even reached the cockpit. Leon didn't look up. He was half inside the control panel, one arm buried deep in the wiring like he was fixing something that didn't want to be fixed. It has now, he said casually. It doesn't work like that. It does if you don't wait for permission. I stopped right at the edge of the cockpit. Leon. That got his attention. He leaned back slightly, just enough to look at me. His hair was a mess, wind-tossed. His expression somewhere between bored and entertained. You look tense, he said. Bad day? You're not flying this route. A pause. Then, yeah, he said, like I'd just confirmed something obvious. I am. The corridor is unstable. I've flown worse. The system flagged it. That made him smile. And I hated that I knew exactly what that meant. Since when do you trust the system more than me? He asked. I don't trust either of you right now. Good, he said lightly. That makes this easier. I stepped closer. You're a target. The words landed harder than I expected. Not because of how they sounded, but because they were true. Leon blinked once, then tilted his head slightly. Okay, he said. Just like that. No panic. No denial. Just acknowledgement. That's it? I asked. What do you want me to do, Daniel? He replied. Look surprised? They're rewriting corridors mid-flight. That made his eyes sharpen. Not fear. Interest. So it's real. He murmured. Yes. And you think I'm on the list. I know you are. Silence stretched between us for a second, filled only by the distant thunder rolling across the horizon. Then Leon exhaled slowly. Then I guess they finally noticed me. I stared at him. You're taking this too lightly. No, he said, pushing himself upright, finally facing me fully. I'm taking it exactly as seriously as it deserves. And that means flying straight into it? That means not running. I felt something tighten in my chest. Annoyance. Frustration. Something else I didn't want to name. You don't get to make that call, I said. His expression shifted. Just slightly. You don't get to make it for me. You're not just risking yourself. Everyone in the sky is risking themselves, he cut in. That's the job. This is different. Is it? He asked quietly. For a second, I didn't answer. Because it was. But not in the way he meant. You're a target, I repeated. And you're worried, he said. I went still. I'm responsible, I corrected. He smiled again. Slow. Knowing. Same thing, he said. No, I said flatly. It's not a beat. Then stop me. I didn't move. Because I couldn't. I wasn't an alpha. I couldn't override him through hierarchy or instinct. I didn't have that authority. All I had was logic. And Leon didn't care about logic when it conflicted with his choices. Then don't, he said, softer now. Just keep up. Before I could respond, he turned back to the console and slammed the panel shut. Flight initiating, he muttered. Leon. Relax, coordinator, he added, strapping himself in. Try not to have a heart attack while I'm gone. The engines roared to life. The wind intensified, whipping against the platform as the ship lifted, and I stood there, watching it rise into a sky that was already closing in. Daniel, you need to see this. Cade's voice cut through the tension the second I stepped back into the control room. The atmosphere had changed, less quiet now, more strained, like everyone was waiting for something to go wrong. It's already started, he said, pulling up Leon's flight path. I moved to the central display. Leon's signal blinked steady. For now, entering corridor. Storm activity spiked immediately. Lightning fractured across the map in sharp, jagged lines. Keep the feed open, I said. I am. The system updated. Route adjustment. My eyes narrowed. Wait. What? Cade asked. That's not his assigned path. It's a recalibration. No, I said slowly. It's not. Because the new vector wasn't safer. It was worse. Much worse. Why would it redirect him into the densest part of the storm? Cade whispered. It wouldn't, I said. Unless… My pulse kicked once. Hard. Override it, I said. I can't. It's system level. Then bypass it. That's a violation. Yes. Cade hesitated. Daniel, do it. He swallowed, then moved. Meanwhile, Leon's voice crackled through the channel. Well, that's new. Leon, I said immediately, stepping closer to the console. Your route has been altered. Do not follow it. A pause. Then, I was wondering when you'd say that. You see it? Yeah, he said. And it's definitely not friendly. Lightning flashed again. The signal distorted for half a second. My fingers tightened against the edge of the console. Manual control, I said. Ignore system guidance. You're asking me to fly blind through a storm. I'm asking you to stay alive. A breath. Then, all right, Leon said. Simple. No hesitation. But I could hear it now. Under the calm, his breathing. Heavier. Focused. Daniel, Cade said, voice tight. The system's pushing another update. The map shifted again. Leon's path twisted sharply, dragged toward a zone marked unstable. No, not unstable. Dead. That's the same vector as the missing aircraft, Cade whispered. I didn't respond, because I already knew. Cut it, I said. I'm trying. The system resisted. Locked. Protected. Authorized. Something in me snapped, not violently, not loudly, just decisively. Move, I said, stepping past Cade. Daniel, you can't. I already was. Manual override wasn't supposed to be possible at this level. That was the point. But systems are built by people, and people leave gaps. My fingers moved fast, colder now, more precise. Code layers peeled back. Access protocols blinked warnings. Ignored. Daniel, your authorization isn't enough, I said. I know. I forced it anyway. The interface flickered. Then, control. Not full, but enough. Leon, I said, voice steady despite the pulse hammering in my chest. I'm feeding you a new vector. You better, he muttered. Because this one is trying to kill me. I know. I adjusted the path manually, weaving between storm clusters, avoiding the dead zone by meters. Meters. That was all that separated survival from… no, focus. Follow my lead, I said. Always do, he replied. That was a lie, and somehow, not entirely, the storm swallowed him. Signal flickered, stabilized, flickered again. My hands didn't stop moving, didn't hesitate, didn't shake. Not visibly, but I could feel it, the tension in my fingers, the unnatural speed of my heartbeat. Come on, Cade muttered. I didn't speak, didn't breathe properly, didn't allow it, because control required stillness, even when everything else wasn't. And then, the signal broke through. Clear, stable, out of the storm, alive. The entire room exhaled at once. I didn't. Not yet. Not until… touchdown confirmed, Cade said. Only then did something in my chest finally loosen. Just slightly. Leon's voice came through the channel again. Calm. Too calm. You sound quiet, he said. I didn't answer immediately. You nervous? He added. I leaned back slightly, forcing my hands to still. No, I said. A pause. Then, what were you doing back there then? I met my own reflection in the dark glass of the display. Cold, controlled, exactly as it should be. I was correcting the situation, I said. Silence. Then Leon laughed softly. Right, he said. And, somehow, I was pretty sure he didn't believe me. The system didn't fail. That was the problem. If it had failed, if there had been corruption, external interference, a breach, I would have known how to handle it. You isolate the variable. You eliminate the cause. You restore control. Simple. Clean. Predictable. But this? This was none of those things. I accessed the archives at 2:17, not because it was required, because no one would stop me. The lower levels of Sector -9 were colder than the control room. Not physically, temperature was regulated perfectly, but in a way that had nothing to do with climate. Fewer people, less noise, more silence. The archive walls were matte black, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. Data terminals lined the space like dormant sentinels, waiting for input, waiting for permission. I didn't ask for it. Authorization required, the system prompted. Override, I said. Insufficient clearance. I'm not asking. A pause. Then, access granted. I didn't question it. I just moved. Flight logs. 6 months. Every incident flagged as unresolved anomaly. I stripped away the summaries, ignored the official reports. They were written to sound clean, safe, acceptable. I wanted the raw data. The truth isn't neat. It doesn't come formatted. It comes fragmented, inconsistent, ugly. And when you line it up correctly, it tells you exactly what someone is trying to hide. Timestamps aligned, route updates cross-referenced, authorization tags isolated. And there it was again. The pattern, not random, never random. Every corridor rewrite originated from the same access layer. Higher than my clearance, higher than Cade's, higher than anyone who actually worked inside the system. I leaned back slightly, eyes fixed on the screen. That's not a glitch, I murmured. It was approval. Daniel. I didn't turn. I already knew who it was. Cade stepped into the archive room, slower than usual. Like the silence here made him unsure of his own movement. You've been down here for hours, he said. Commands asking questions. They can wait. They won't. They don't have a choice. He hesitated, then stepped closer. What did you find? I rotated the display toward him. He scanned it quickly, then again, slower. That's not possible. You said that yesterday. Yeah, well, he exhaled. I was hoping I'd be wrong today. I didn't respond, because hope wasn't relevant. Those are authorization markers, Cade said. System level. Yes, that means the network approved those changes. Yes. He looked at me. And the system doesn't make mistakes. No, I said quietly. It doesn't. A beat. Then, Cade swallowed. People do. The council office was exactly what I expected. White, clean, perfect, every surface smooth, every line intentional. No clutter, no unnecessary detail. Control, distilled into architecture. Even the air felt filtered, sterile. There were no guards. There didn't need to be. This place didn't rely on force. It relied on certainty. You requested access, a voice said. I turned. Raynor stood near the center of the room, hands loosely clasped behind his back. Alpha. It was obvious in the way he held himself. Not aggressive, not overtly dominant, but assured, like the space already belonged to him. And always would. Coordinator Reyes, he said. I was told you had concerns. I have data, I corrected. That too. His tone was calm, measured, not dismissive. That made it worse. I stepped forward, projecting the compiled logs between us. Corridor rewrites, I said. System authorized. Targeted patterns. He didn't even look surprised. Of course he wasn't. You've been thorough, Raynor said. That's my job. And yet, he added, glancing at the data briefly, you seem to be misunderstanding what you're seeing. I'm not. He met my gaze. And for the first time since I'd entered the room, I felt it. Pressure. Not physical. Not overt. But present. The kind that comes from someone who expects to be obeyed. I didn't move. Didn't look away. Didn't react. Beta. We don't push. We don't submit. We endure. You believe the system is targeting specific pilots, Raynor said. I know it is. And you find that concerning. I find it deliberate. A pause. Then, we are minimizing risk, he said. The words landed clean, controlled. Exactly as intended. I didn't blink. You're choosing who dies. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was calculated. Raynar tilted his head slightly, studying me. Language like that, he said calmly, suggests emotional bias. It suggests accuracy, or lack of perspective. I stepped closer. Independent pilots, I said. Unaffiliated routes. Every disappearance traces back to them. And they're being removed. Raynar's expression didn't change. Stability requires structure, he said. Control requires compliance. Safety requires predictability. And people like Leon Varel, I said, don't fit into your system. There it was. A flicker. Small. Almost imperceptible. But real. Recognition. You've done your research, Raynar said. I always do. And you've decided this is about individuals. It is. No, he said softly. It's about scale. I didn't respond. Because I understood what he meant. And I didn't like it. Independent routes introduce variability, Raynar continued. Variability introduces risk. Risk propagates. You're not reducing risk, I said. You're eliminating anything you can't control. Yes. The word hit harder than any denial would have. No hesitation. No justification. Just truth. And that was worse. Show me the access layer, I said. Raynar didn't move. That's not within your clearance. I've already seen enough to know it exists. A pause. Then, curiosity, he said, can be dangerous. So can ignorance. Another pause. Longer this time. Then, he gestured. And the room shifted. Not physically, digitally. The walls dimmed slightly as a new interface unfolded in front of me. Deeper. More complex than anything I'd accessed before. Layered. Hidden. Controlled. My pulse kicked once. Not fear. Recognition. This, Raynar said, is what you're looking for. The display expanded. 3 tiers. The first, public corridors. The second, restricted optimization protocols. Beneath them, something else. Unlabeled. Unregistered. Invisible to standard systems. What is that? I asked. Raynar's gaze didn't leave mine. The third level. The words settled slowly. He let them. This layer, he continued, ensures long-term stability. How? By correcting deviations. By deleting them, I said. He didn't argue. Didn't deny it. Didn't need to. My chest tightened. Not sharply. But enough. Because now I saw it. All of it. The missing aircraft. The rewritten routes. The precision. It wasn't chaos. It was design. A system that didn't react. It decided. Leon is on your list, I said. Raynar didn't answer. He didn't have to. I looked back at the third layer. At the subtle markers embedded in its structure. At the names flagged for correction. And suddenly, Leon wasn't just another pilot. He wasn't just reckless, or independent, or difficult to control. He was visible. A variable the system couldn't absorb. A disruption that spread. A pattern breaker. I exhaled slowly. My control. My carefully maintained distance. My structure. My certainty. It shifted. Not shattered. Not yet. But no longer. Intact. You're not protecting the sky, I said quietly. Raynar's expression didn't change. We're protecting what comes after it. I turned away. Because if I stayed, I might say something I couldn't take back. As I walked out of the council chamber, one thought settled into place with absolute clarity. This wasn't about accidents, or pilots, or even control. This was about erasure. And Leon wasn't just next. He was necessary. Because people like him didn't just survive outside the system, they made others believe they could too. And that was something the sky had already decided to kill. The hangar was quieter at night. Not silent. Nothing in Sector -9 ever truly was. But softer. The constant mechanical noise faded into the background, replaced by distant city hum and the occasional metallic echo of something settling into place. It felt suspended. Like time wasn't moving as fast here. Leon's ship was docked near the far end. Lights dimmed, hull still carrying the faint scars from the storm. I stopped a few steps away, watching him. He was sitting on the edge of the open hatch, one leg hanging down, the other bent, elbows resting loosely on his knee. No rush, no tension. Like the last few hours hadn't nearly killed him. "You're staring," he said without looking at me. "I'm assessing damage." "Sure you are." I stepped closer. "You shouldn't be flying for at least 24 hours. "Noted," he said. "You're not going to follow that." "No, of course not." I stopped right below him. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The city lights beyond the hangar stretched into the distance, gold and white and distant, like something unreachable. The sky above was calmer now, the storm having passed, but I didn't trust it anymore. Not after today. "You broke 3 regulations," I said. Leon glanced down at me. "Only 3? Direct override of system navigation, unauthorized manual control, corridor deviation under active instability." He smiled faintly. "And I'm still alive." "That's not a defense. It's a result." I exhaled slowly. "You fly like you're trying to prove something." That got his attention. He studied me for a second, something sharper behind his eyes now. "Do the first?" he asked. "Yes." A pause. Then he hopped down from the hatch, landing lightly in front of me, closer than necessary. "You want to tell me what I'm trying to prove?" he asked. "That the system doesn't control you, and you think that's wrong?" "I think it's dangerous." He tilted his head. "And yet," he said, "you're the one who broke it today." I didn't respond. Because he wasn't wrong. That irritated me more than it should have. "Walk with me," he said suddenly. "That wasn't a request." "Good," he replied. "Because I wasn't asking." I hesitated for half a second, then followed. We ended up on the upper platform overlooking the city. Wind brushed past us. Lighter now, cooler. The kind that didn't press, didn't demand, just existed. Leon leaned against the railing, looking out over the lights. I stayed a step back. Distance. Control. That's how this worked. "That thing you said earlier," he said after a moment, "about me being a target. It wasn't a guess. I figured. You're flagged." "Yeah," he said softly. "I saw the reroute. That wasn't random. I know." Silence settled between us again. Not uncomfortable. Just present. "You want to know why?" he asked. "I already do." He glanced at me. "No," he said. "You don't." I held his gaze. "Then tell me." He studied me for a second, like he was deciding something. Then, "I move people," he said. "I know that. Not just cargo." I didn't react outwardly, but internally. That clicked. "Independent routes," I said. "Yeah. Unregistered." "Most of them. You're helping them avoid the system." He smiled faintly. "I'm helping them choose where they go. That's not how the council sees it. That's because the council doesn't like choices it didn't approve. That's because choices like that destabilize the network." He turned fully toward me now. "And what do you think?" I didn't answer immediately, because the correct answer, the logical answer, was clear. Structure reduces risk. Control maintains safety. The system works. Except it didn't. Not anymore. "I think," I said slowly, "that you're increasing your probability of dying." Leon huffed a quiet laugh. "That's not what I asked. It's what matters." "To you," he said. A pause. Then, "You're not immortal," I added. The words came out sharper than I intended, more personal. He didn't flinch, didn't look away. "I'm just not living like property," he said. The air shifted, not physically, but something in the space between us changed. Because that wasn't defiance, that was conviction. And it was difficult to argue with. "You're not owned," I said. "Not yet," he replied. "That's not how it works." "That's exactly how it works," he said quietly. You just don't see it because you're inside the system. I frowned. I operate the system. Same thing. No, I said. It's not. He stepped closer. Again. Closer than necessary. You don't feel it? He asked. Feel what? The way it narrows things. I didn't answer. Because the first did. But I wasn't going to admit that. You're too serious, Leon said suddenly. I blinked. That's not relevant. It is, he said. You act like everything is a calculation. It is. Not everything. Yes. He smiled. You're impossible. And you're reckless. Interesting combination. That's not a compliment. I didn't say it was. A pause. Then, you worry too much, he added. I don't worry. You do. I calculate risk. Same thing. No, I said again. More firmly this time. It's not. Leon laughed softly. You really need new definitions. You need better judgment. And yet, he said, leaning slightly closer, you followed me out here. That I didn't have an immediate answer for. So, I didn't respond. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The city stretched out below us, quiet and distant. The sky above looked calm again, like nothing had happened, like it hadn't almost taken him, like it wasn't still trying. My chest tightened slightly, not enough to show, but enough to notice. You're not going to stop flying, I said. No, you know what they're doing. Yes. And you're still going to take the routes. Yes. A beat. Then, why? Leon looked back out at the city. Because someone has to, he said. That's not an answer. It is. It's not a logical one. He glanced at me. Good thing I'm not you then. I exhaled slowly. You're going to die if you keep this up. Eventually, he said. Same as everyone. That's not what I mean. I know. Silence again. Then, you going to keep saving me? He asked lightly. I'm not saving you. You did today. I corrected the system. He smiled. Right. There was something in the way he said it. Not mocking, not dismissive. Just aware. And that was worse. My comm device vibrated. Sharp. Intrusive. Breaking the moment cleanly in half. I stepped back slightly, activating it. Reyes. Cade's voice came through immediately. Daniel. We have a problem. When don't we? New corridor assignment just dropped. I went still. Whose? A pause. Too long. My pulse ticked once. Then, Leon's. Everything in me sharpened instantly. What route? Sending it now. Data streamed across my display. Coordinates. Altitude. Timing. I scanned it once. Then again. Slower. More carefully. Because there was something about it. Something wrong. Too clean. Too precise. Too familiar. My stomach tightened. Not emotion. Recognition. Daniel. Cade said. What is it? I didn't answer right away. Because I already knew. I looked up at Leon. He was watching me now. Not smiling. Not relaxed. Waiting. What? He asked. I held his gaze. And for the first time since I'd met him, I didn't soften the truth. That route, I said quietly, is a trap. The wind shifted again. Colder this time. And the sky above us felt like it was listening. The sky was wrong. You don't notice it at first. Not if you trust it. Not if you've spent your entire life believing the system keeps things aligned, keeps gravity predictable, keeps direction stable, keeps reality consistent. But the moment you stop trusting it, you see it. Leon saw it first. I'm losing reference, he said, voice tight through the comm. The control room wasn't quiet anymore. It was chaos. Alarms layered over each other, screens flickering, data streams stuttering like they couldn't decide what was real and what wasn't. Daniel, the corridor just... Cade stopped mid-sentence. It's gone. Not rerouted. Not shifted. Gone. I stepped closer to the main display. Leon's signal still blinked. But everything around it was wrong. Coordinates fluctuated. Altitude markers drifted. The corridor lines, the ones that were supposed to define the path, fractured, like glass under pressure. Leon, I said, forcing my voice steady. Hold current vector. I would, he said, breath uneven now. If I had one. The dead corridor didn't look like anything. That was the problem. There were no storm markers. No turbulence signatures. No warning indicators. Just absence, like the system had erased the rules and left nothing behind. I'm reading multiple horizon shifts, Leon said. That's not. His voice cut slightly. Distortion. Not from the signal. From the space around him. Daniel, Cade said sharply. His orientation data is looping. I saw it. The readouts repeated. Reset. Repeated again. Like the system couldn't define where he was, or what direction meant anymore. Leon, I said, stepping closer to the console. Listen to me carefully. Ignore all system navigation. That's already happening, he muttered. Everything's a sharp inhale. Then, pulling, my fingers tightened. Describe it like. He exhaled harshly. Like the skies folding. That wasn't possible. Except, I'd already seen impossible today. Stabilize manually, I said. Trust your instruments. They're not agreeing with each other. Of course they weren't. Because the system was rewriting them. Not guiding. Not correcting. Overwriting. Daniel, Cade said, voice strained. We're getting interference from the third layer. I went still. Show me. The display shifted. Deeper. Hidden markers flickered into view. Unauthorized access. No. Authorized. System authorized. My pulse kicked hard. There it was. Clear. Undeniable. The third level wasn't reacting. It was actively shaping the corridor around Leon, adjusting variables in real time, closing options, eliminating paths. Like it was hurting him. No, Cade whispered. That's not stabilization. No, I said. It wasn't. It was execution. Leon, I said. Sharper now. You need to climb. Now. I'm trying, he snapped. There's resistance, a crack of static, then a sharp, involuntary sound. Pain. My chest tightened instantly. What happened? Pressure spike, he breathed. G-forces are another distortion. The data spiked violently. His altitude dropped. No. It shifted, sideways. Impossible. Daniel? Cade's voice shook slightly now. Gravity vectors are unstable. That's not how physics works. Except, here, apparently, it did. I moved. No hesitation. No pause. Override access, I said. It's locked, Cade replied. Third level encryption. Then we break it. Daniel, I know what it is. Illegal. Unrecoverable. Career ending. Possibly worse. I didn't care. Because Leon was still in that corridor, and the system was closing in. Leon, I said, forcing control back into my voice. Stay with me. Not planning on leaving, he muttered. His breathing was heavier now. Tighter. Controlled, but barely. Daniel, he added, quieter. This isn't random. I know. He exhaled sharply, guiding me somewhere. I know. Good, he said. Just making sure we're on the same page. A beat. Then, you going to do something about it? Yes. The third layer didn't want to be accessed. It resisted, adapted, pushed back. Every command I entered was met with delays, denials, redirections, like it was aware. Daniel, Cade said, voice low. You're triggering system defenses. Let it. You're going to get flagged. I already am. That wasn't new. What mattered was Leon's signal. Still there. Still moving. Still alive. I forced deeper access. Code layers peeled away, one by one, each one harder than the last. each one more restricted, until finally, I saw it. Full control. Not the simplified interface, not the operational layer. The core, the place where decisions weren't suggested, they were made. And there, embedded in the structure, was the truth, not hidden, not encrypted, just accepted, a directive. Clear, cold, efficient. Eliminate instability vectors, independent routes, unaffiliated pilots. Leon. My hands stilled for half a second, just enough to feel it. The shift, the realization, this wasn't damage control. It wasn't risk reduction. It wasn't safety. It was design. A system built to remove anything it couldn't predict, anything it couldn't own. Daniel, Leon's voice, quieter now, strained. Yeah, you're very quiet. I'm working. You always say that when things are bad. A pause. Then, you want to tell me how bad? I exhaled slowly. They built this to erase you. Silence. Then, a short, breathless laugh. Yeah, he said. That tracks. Another spike. His signal dropped sharply. Leon, I'm here. His voice hitched, barely. Hold on. Trying. Another sharp inhale. Pain. Real. Immediate. Daniel. G-force is. The numbers spiked again. Too high. Too fast. His body wouldn't hold that much longer. Something in me broke. Not loudly. Not visibly. But completely. Don't you dare die, I said. The words came out before I could stop them. Sharp. Raw. Uncontrolled. Silence. Then, Leon's voice, soft, almost amused. You sound interested. I clenched my jaw. I'm invested in the outcome. Sure you are. Leon, a beat. Then, still here, he said. I moved faster. No hesitation, no restraint. If the system wanted control, I would take it back. Manually. Brutally. Completely. I rewrote the corridor. Not through the system. Around it. Threading a path through shifting variables, unstable vectors, collapsing coordinates. It wasn't clean. It wasn't safe. It wasn't approved. But it was possible. Leon, I said, voice steady again. I'm sending you a new vector. Please tell me it's better than this one. It's mine. A pause. Then, yeah, he said. I'll take that. Follow it, exactly. I thought you liked control. I do. Then this is new. Leon. I'm following it, he said quickly. Good. The path was narrow. Too narrow. Margins measured in meters. In seconds. In decisions that couldn't be undone. The dead corridor shifted around him, resisting the change. Trying to pull him back. Trying to correct the deviation. But this time, it didn't have full control. I did. Almost out, I said. Define almost. Leon replied through clenched teeth. 30 seconds. Feels like longer. I know. The signal flickered. Hard. Then, stabilized. The coordinates, locked. The horizon, aligned. Gravity, normalized. He broke through. The control room went silent, not gradually, instantly. Like everything had just stopped. Signal stable, Cade said quietly. I didn't respond. Not yet. Because I was still watching. Still verifying. Still waiting. Touchdown incoming, Cade added. Leon's ship descended. Fast. Too fast. Stabilize, I muttered. I'm trying, Leon said. The landing was rough. Not catastrophic. But close. Too close. And then, stillness. He's down, Cade said. Only then did my hands stop, and I realized they were shaking. Not visibly, not dramatically, but enough. Enough to notice. Enough to understand. Leon's voice came through a second later. Breathing uneven. Alive. Well, he said. That was fun. I closed my eyes for half a second. Just long enough. You call that fun? Depends on your standards. A pause. Then. You coming down to yell at me? Probably. Good, he said softly. Another pause. Then. Daniel. Yes. A beat. Then. Thanks. I didn't answer immediately, because I didn't trust my voice. When I did, it was steady again. Controlled. Exactly as it should be. I corrected the situation, I said. A quiet laugh. Yeah, Leon said. I know. The sky was quiet again. That was the first thing I noticed. Not empty. Never empty. But still. Like it had exhaled after holding something too long. Dawn was just beginning to bleed into the horizon, soft gold cutting through the last remnants of night. The storm was gone. The distortion was gone. The corridor lines, what remained of them, flickered faintly across the sky map. Unstable. But present. Leon's ship sat on the landing strip like it had barely made it back. Which, technically, it hadn't. I stepped onto the tarmac just as the first light hit the hull. The air was cold. Clean. Too calm for what had just happened. The landing gear was scorched in places. Stabilizers slightly misaligned. The outer plating carried stress fractures that shouldn't exist under normal conditions. Nothing about this had been normal. The hatch opened with a sharp hiss. Leon didn't rush out. Of course he didn't. He moved slower than usual. One hand braced briefly against the frame before he stepped down. His movements were controlled, but I saw it. The strain. The aftershock. His body still catching up with what it had just endured. Next time, he said, voice rough but steady. You might want to warn me earlier. I stopped a few steps away from him. You wouldn't have listened. True. A beat. Then, you violated every protocol in the book, he added. You started it. That earned a small, tired smile. Yeah, he said. That sounds like me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The silence wasn't empty. It was settling. Like everything that had been pushed to the edge was finally finding its way back. You okay? I asked. It came out more direct than I intended. Less controlled. Leon blinked at me, like he wasn't expecting that. Wow, he said softly. You almost sound concerned. I'm assessing damage. Of course you are. He took a slow breath, rolling his shoulders slightly. Nothing critical, he added. Just feels like I got hit by physics. That's because you did. Rude. You flew through a collapsing corridor. You told me to. I told you how to survive it. And I did. He stepped closer. Not aggressively. Not carefully. Just naturally. That was you, right? He asked quietly. Not the system. I held his gaze. Yes. A pause. Then, good, he said. The hangar was quieter than before. Not empty. People were there, moving in the background, assessing damage, running diagnostics. But the tension was gone. Or at least, different. Less fear. More uncertainty. Cade approached us halfway across the floor, his expression somewhere between relieved and overwhelmed. You're both insane, he said. That's not helpful, I replied. It's accurate, Leon added. Cade ran a hand through his hair. Do you have any idea what just happened? He asked. Yes. No, I mean, officially, that's irrelevant. It's not irrelevant, Cade insisted. The system, Daniel, you accessed something you weren't supposed to even know existed. I'm aware. You broke it. Not completely. Enough, he said. There are gaps now. Interruptions. The third layer isn't stable. Good. I didn't say it out loud, but I thought it. And Cade saw it anyway. You did that on purpose, he said. Yes. Leon glanced between us. I'm guessing this is the part where things get political. They already are, I said. By the time the sun had fully risen, the reports started coming in, not from the council, from everywhere else. Independent routes, stabilizing. Unauthorized paths holding longer than they should. Corridor restrictions, loosening. Not gone. Not yet. But weaker. like the system had lost its grip, or maybe like someone had forced it to let go. They can't hide it now, Cade said quietly, standing beside me as we watched the updated maps. No, Raynor won't like this. That's not my concern. It will be, eventually, a pause. Then, you're not stopping, are you? Cade asked. I didn't answer right away, because the answer had changed, and I was still adjusting to that. No, I said finally. I found Leon back at the platform. Of course I did. He was leaning against the railing again, looking out at the sky like it owed him something. Or maybe like he owed it. You're still here, he said without turning. I work here. Yeah, he said. But this feels different. I stepped up beside him. The sky stretched wide above us. Open, clear, deceptively calm. It is, I said. He glanced at me. And the system isn't as stable as it used to be. That sounds like a problem. It depends on perspective. He smiled slightly. Yours is changing. Yes. That surprised him. I could tell. You admit that pretty easily, he said. I adjust to new data. That's the most answer you could have given. It's accurate. He laughed softly. You're impossible. You've said that before. Still true. A pause. Then, you always like this? He asked. Like what? This, he said, gesturing vaguely. Calm, controlled, slightly terrifying. I'm not terrifying. You broke a system designed to control the sky. That's not the same thing. It kind of is. I considered that. Then, are you always like this? I asked. Better looking? That wasn't the question. Still the answer. I exhaled quietly. You're not taking any of this seriously. I am, he said, more quietly now. Just not in the way you expect. A beat. Then, you going to keep flying? I asked. Yes. You know they'll try again. Yes. And you're still not going to stop? No. I studied him for a second. Then, good. That caught him off guard. Good? He repeated. Yes. He smiled slowly. That's new. Yes. The wind shifted again. Lighter. Warmer. The sky above us stretched endless and open. No visible corridors. No lines. No boundaries. Just space. So, Leon said, tilting his head slightly. Where do we go from here? I looked out at the horizon, at the place where structure used to exist, at the space that wasn't controlled anymore, and for the first time, I didn't feel the need to define it. To somewhere without rules, I said. He watched me for a second, then smiled. Higher than. I met his gaze. Yes. We stood there a moment longer, not moving, not rushing, not calculating, just existing. And for once, that was enough, because we hadn't fixed the system. We hadn't restored control. We hadn't made the sky safer. We'd done something else. Something quieter. Something more dangerous. We'd given it a choice, and taken one for ourselves.